Attention wrestling fans, you're now about to listen to the man coming down the aisle from the main streets of South Elgin, Illinois, with a microphone in his hand and questions on his mind. This is Whaddya Say with DDJ.
Welcome to episode 24 of Whaddya Say with DDJ. As always, I am your host, DDJ. 24 episodes in, and thank you guys so much for being a part of this wild and crazy ride. And I'm going to get right to it. My guest this week is someone who has been on this show before. In fact, if you want to catch his previous appearance, go back into the archives of the Pro Wrestling Junkies Pod Squad. Type in Pro Wrestling Junkies wherever you get your podcast. And look up episode 3 of Whaddya Say with DDJ, because coming back for an appearance is my very good friend, Mr. John Bullard, the owner / promoter of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. It's going to be a very fun show. We're going to talk about the reception he's gotten from the show in October being available on Amazon Prime. We're going to talk about the upcoming April 17th show. We're going to talk about some really inspirational stuff, and keep an eye out for the podcast, because there is an announcement in the show, a pretty big announcement concerning yours truly. So grab your favorite drink, grab something to eat, get comfy, sit back and relax, and enjoy episode 24 of Whaddya Say with DDJ. My guest this week, Mr. John Bullard.
This is Rockstar Johnny Nye, and you're listening to Whaddya Say with DDJ, and make sure you catch the newest episode featuring yours truly. What other reason could you possibly need to tune in outside of the fact that I'm on it? I mean, come on, people. And for those of you who don't tune in, be gone.
All right, we're here. I'm here with another episode of Whaddya Say with DDJ, and joining me again is not only is he the owner and promoter of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, he's actually become to quote Mean Gene Okerlund, a very dear, close, personal, longtime friend of mine. He was previously on my show in episode 3. If you haven't heard it, or if you want to hear it again, please go back and wherever you get your favorite podcast and listen to it there, or you can also watch the episode on YouTube. Joining me this week is once again is John Bullard. John, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Dennis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. It's, just enjoying the seemingly nice weather we're having for this time of year. A little bit of a break from the snow and the ice and all that cold and everything and stuff. So. Yeah,
man, weird for like perfect weather in January. I'm not complaining. Growing up as a South Florida kid, I'm actually kind of happy to see, not all the snow and ice on the ground. I could live with that, So we're having a pretty good winter month so far.
Yeah, I've been a Northern Illinois guy my whole life, and I'm always happy to see this kind of weather this time of year. So I've never been a fan of it.
Yeah, me either.
So let's get right into it. So when we last chatted, it was about a few weeks before the show on October 3rd. And, obviously since then the show has come and gone, and it's premiered on a variety of platforms such as Amazon Prime, Fight.tv, Powered 4 TV. So John, tell me what the reception's been like from not only the fans that you've talked to, but also the wrestlers that were on the show, and just people that you've spoken to you in general about it.
It's humbling, because, we did this show, and when we talked to the fans at the show, there were so many fans when I was in the crowd walking through just to check on people, because as a promoter, I've always felt like, outside of taking care of business backstage, it's important to be there to talk to the crowd, see how the crowd's liking things. And I had so many crowd members walk up to me and go, man, this was the type of wrestling I grew up watching back in the 80s and 90s that made me love professional wrestling. You're not making a mockery of it. You're not going out of your way to do, adult, ultra graphic content. You're good wrestling with good stories. and people really took a liking to it. The reviews so far have been pretty excellent. I've talked to some fans from the United Kingdom that's watched our show.
Wow.
One actually, his name's David. He actually got a subscription to Amazon Prime just to watch our show.
Oh, wow.
And he messaged me the other day. I'll send you the screenshots of this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
his exact words were, "Hey, mate, is Amazon Prime hit a watch?" And then about 2 hours later, I messaged him. I was like, "So what do you think of the show?" And I was kind of like worried. I'm like, "Oh, man, he's going to probably hate this." And he's like, "That was damn good." He's like, this was really good." He's like, "When's your next event?" And I was like, "Well, in April." And he's like, "Well, I'll tell you what, if COVID doesn't have any restrictions on UK traveling, him and some of his friends were actually thinking about taking a flight to the United States just to go to see some wrestling shows here and there. And we were one of the landmarks they want to go see, which is, it's so humbling because you're sitting back thinking about it, like, you're going to fly all the way just to see me? Like, really? And, you have a friend yourself is coming out of Texas.
Yeah,
to
my
come
buddy,
see our next show. Yeah,
my buddy Jovan.
The very first show, we had fans from Missouri. We had one fan drove all the way up from Florida. We had a fan from Kentucky. We had fans from Illinois, of course, Wisconsin, just all over. And usually see that at like super indie fed type promotions. And here we are just doing old school Americana, TV studio wrestling. And to see that style of wrestling really draws a crowd that wants to see that presentation, man, it just makes my heart warm as an old school wrestling fan and someone who's been in the business for a long time, to see that many people want to hold on. And not only that, but bring their kids and family to see that type of wrestling show. So that way they could also get introduced to old school wrestling and that style. And April, we got some pretty cool stuff coming up in April. So hoping, fingers crossed, that we can have our show in April. I know right now COVID is still spiking all over the Midwest, but I'm hoping that we can do this. And because we have, man, we're probably going to go over this card on the show, but just the matches we have lined up. If people thought the October show was great, I truly do believe in my heart that the April show will blow October out of the water.
Wow. That's saying something, because having been at that show and talking to you about it personally, yeah, that was a phenomenal show. So if this is going to blow October out of the water, I can't wait.
No, same here. I mean, it's funny when you talk to a lot of promoters, they're kind of more of antsy of getting the show over with. I'm actually looking forward to this show, as not only as a promoter, not only as a producer, but also putting myself in the perspective of if I was a wrestling fan. I'm excited just for the matches we put together, because I know how good those matches are going to be. The matchups that we got, the caliber talent that we're using, the international travelers that we got planned coming up, that's going to be working with us from Mexico. And also we got some other companies that we're going to be working with from Japan that are going to be coming in too. This is going to be something special.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about, obviously spend some time talking about the April show and stuff in a little bit. But one thing I also wanted to, if you could elaborate a little bit more on, was recently you had an announcement where you went live on Facebook and you announced that you, along with a buddy of yours, were going to be opening up a almost like something similar to what the WWE does with like their performance center. You get these guys, getting these guys ready for CCW. Tell me and my audience, my fans or followers, whatever you want to call them, people that listen to the show, just like how did that come about and what was the process like?
Well, it's all the DDJ army out there that are listening.
I like that, DDJ army.
Yeah, the DDJ army. We got to license that. You got to get that made into the t-shirt. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Luis Ramos. He runs Wrestle League. Wrestle League is going to be our developmental promotion program that will bring up the future of Chicago wrestling. The wrestling school that he runs is Hybrid Martial Arts. It's in Chicago, and great facility, as you've seen on the video.
Yeah, it was really neat.
One of the few wrestling schools where, as a wrestler, you go in there, you can train not only in pro wrestling, but you can train in Muay Thai, you can train in boxing, you can train in jiu-jitsu, catch wrestling, all different martial arts styles. And of course, as you've seen how wrestling has evolved lately, a lot of wrestlers are very hybrid athletes. They can wrestle multiple styles.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's valuable for a wrestler to learn that. Because, if you go to Japan, the Japanese do wrestle very martial arts style. A lot of strong kicks, very stiff, very physical. So the school has been running for a good while now. And as partnering with them, it gives our talent a place to go train at, but also for a lot of the wrestling fans that was at the show that was asking me about schools to go get trained at. We're going to be sending them to Hybrid to get trained properly. Ewok, Desmond DeMont, he trains there. Mr. Made for TV, Tully Bertarelli, a man known as Holy Vision. He goes there, pump iron, body slam guys. We also, our champion, Chris Logan, the Shogun. He actually is one of the guys who mentors the young wrestlers there. So they're in good hands with our champion being there to watch over them and critique stuff. Luis Ramos, he's been wrestling for a long time, wrestled in Puerto Rico, wrestled all over Chicago. So he has, a background and what it takes to be a solid in-ring worker and a wrestler. So I think it's a win-win situation. You want to see a lot of talent from Wrestle League will be coming up into Chicagoland, and myself and a few other guys from Chicagoland will be present at the Wrestle League shows, of course, evaluating talent and working with them to get them ready for the dance.
Gotcha. So when you talk about evaluating, talent, the talents that they have over that Luis has over at Wrestle League and stuff, what are some of the things that you yourself are going to be looking for when deciding on is this guy ready for CCW? Like, what's some of the criteria you have?
Heart, determination, how bad they want it.
Mm-hmm.
Do they show up to training? Do they put in the hours of work? Do they go in and become a sponge to learn? That's one thing, not only for myself to look at for talent. That's why I look for talent that comes to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Are they coachable? If I sit down and watch your match, and if I didn't like something, would you sit down and listen to me, at least break stuff down to you and explain why I didn't think it worked and what can be done to make it better? And that's not only something that I do, that's what WWE does at the Performance Center themselves. Mm-hmm. They coach their talent on what they need to work on. Heart, determination, skills. If they have the ability to, anybody could do a flip, but can they actually captivate a crowd with a headlock and get everyone worked into it and do very well working television style? Because there is a difference in television style of wrestling and the common independent wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit of the criteria that I look for, but definitely heart and determination and coachability. Those three are my big things I look for. If you give me someone who's coachable and you give me someone who has the determination to become better, then I will spend every single day I can with them to help them out.
That's really good, because it just hearing that kind of always mirrored what I had heard in my previous places of employment, in terms of especially moving on up. You want someone that's got heart, you want someone that's going to put in the work, you want someone that's going to, be a sponge and soak up everything in that. So so hearing that it not only applies, I think, in the world of professional wrestling, but really it applies to life.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
Yeah, so so you mentioned one of the guys that you love having on board, to help mentor these guys that are training at Wrestle League, was your champion Chris Logan. I want to go back to the show in October after he had won the championship. I can say that now because the show's been out for a while, so it's no longer a spoiler. and stuff. You came out and said a few nice things, and then literally you had most of the roster, kind of surround the ring, banging on the mat, that kind of thing is almost a sign of respect to Chris for everything he's done. How did you come up with that idea? And what did Chris say to you in response to that after the show was over, if anything?
Well, the thing was the whole coming out and banging on the ring, that wasn't planned.
Oh, wow.
That was in the moment respect to a guy who's paved the way.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing is, I'm not trying to break the fourth wall by any means. Chris didn't know he was going to be the champion until literally the day of the show.
Oh, wow.
So my message to him was, see you at the show and good luck, champ. And it was ... champ. I was like, I'll see you there, but no, it was our respect to the guy. Chris is to me, when someone asked me if there was one person that represents what Chicagoland is about, I look at him, and I'll tell you why. If 2020 gave someone the worst year ever, and they came back fighting, it's him. The man lost his mother to cancer. If I am correct, I believe it is. And Chris, if it's not, I do apologize. But he lost his mother. He got COVID himself.
Oh, man.
And then on top of it, the man is a police officer that is in one of the roughest cities in all of America. So you couldn't ask for a better representation of a human being that took all the worst negativities that the world could throw at him in 1 year and still show up and put in the work and put a company on his back and put in the effort right along with everybody else. But his leadership, that the validation of that man is his leadership and how he helps other people. Chris Logan isn't one of those selfish guys that's, what about me? He's always been, what can I do to help out the other person? What can I do to help out this company? What can I do to give advice to the green kids who don't have the experience yet, but I want to make sure that they be successful in this business? He's that guy. He's a teacher. And to me, that is such a rarity to find in this business. There's a lot of veterans, and there's a lot of good veterans, but there's a lot of them that don't want to teach the next generation. There's a lot of older guys that kind of gets a chip on their shoulder about kids. But guys like himself, guys like Vic Capri, they know for this business to last and for this business to continue, you have to teach. You have to be a mentor. You have to step back and give advice and help out the kids who want advice, the kids that want to learn. The sponges, the people who want to soak in the knowledge. And that's when I look at him, I was like, you know what? Couldn't happen. Could the belt being on his waist, couldn't ask for a better guy for to be a champion. And really, the three guys were in that main event. Any company would be proud to have him as champion. Garrison Creed is a hell of a talent. Yes, Mark J. Rocket is probably right now the most well-known wrestler in Chicago. And you have Chris Logan, who's been this hidden gem, in my opinion, in the city for so long. And now people are getting to know who he is. And, all those guys, man, everyone in that company, they worked hard. And, that moment with Chris, with everybody banging on the mat, that was in the moment of paying respect to the guy.
Right. And I just remember being one of those ones, because I was close enough to the ring to be able, and it was so cool to be a part of something like that, because it just, I felt it. I sensed it. The love and respect and everything. And it was just actually getting the chance to talk to him for a little bit, after the show, for the little interview show that I did afterwards, and I could just tell, like, I remember going up to him, was like, hey, would you mind doing an interview with me for a couple minutes? And it's like, hey, yeah, do you want me to get the belt? And I'm like, absolutely. And he came over and it was so cool. And I like having those 2 minutes I had with him, I can see why, you and the rest of the guys, CCW have that kind of respect. Because I felt that in just those 2 minutes I had with him. So
absolutely, he's a man of honor.
Very much so. One of the names that you had mentioned just now was Vic Capri, and I know he was supposed to be part of the first show, and I believe he had to pull out due to injury. What's the latest on his status? If you've heard anything?
Last time I talked to Capri, he was rehabbing his injury. If I'm correct, he tore his tricep.
Ooh.
Which is one of the worst injuries anyone can get, no matter if you're a 19-year-old kid to a 50-year-old man.
Mm-hmm.
Tearing your tricep is not a cakewalk.
No.
And he's already rehabilitating himself. He's working out. He's getting himself ready for a in-ring return. The man is a cyborg. I'm telling you, that's one of the toughest guys anyone can encounter. But yes, pretty soon you all will be seeing him in Chicagoland.
Yeah, I can't wait. I happened to see him wrestle once. It was actually ended up being the very last match that PCW Pro Championship Wrestling ever put on. And it's just the one thing I remember from that was he was in a match where he fought his opponent. They were fighting all over the place, and he ended up taking a bump from some upper bleachers and through a table. And then I remember my best friend and I were talking to him after the show, and it's just like the time. I mean, he could have easily been in the back, icing himself down or whatever, but he still took the time after taking that bump, to still come out and talk to the fans after the show, and gained a hell of a lot of respect for him that night. So I definitely can't wait to see him in CCW.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, one of the legit true legends in Chicago.
Yeah. So one of the things before we're getting close to the time to talk about the show is one of the things that always entertains me when I get on Facebook and I see some of your posts is when a certain friend of mine named by the name of PL Myers responds, and on behalf of his crew, the Chicago Connection. I just got to ask you, what goes through your mind when you post something on Facebook and then you get a notification saying PL Myers has replied to your post? What initially goes through your mind?
This again? Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect PL Myers, but it was one of those like, hey, it's something great. And I know. And the funny thing is, I got now my stomach filling on stuff. I'm like, it's counting in my head like 5, 4, 3, and notification. And it's like, and it always happens like, oh yes, well, Mr. Bullard, this is great. This is PL Myers, and and he goes in through his whole spill. Right. By April 17th, Jonathan Hudson will cream so and so. And it's comical, but yet the Chicago Connection is a dangerous group of guys. So you can laugh 1 minute, but yet you have to kind of worry if your skull is going to get cracked open with a mailbox next.
Right.
So, yeah. With him, Cognito Jones, the Kingpin, and John Hudson himself, who was like a Terminator.
Oh my God! Have you seen his videos he's been posting on Facebook as of late? My God, yeah, he's like just unreal. It's just unreal, just what this guy's doing, doing right now.
Yeah, it's he has taken this debut I think probably more serious than anything he's done in his life. And his opponent is no pushover. And we'll talk about his opponent too. His opponent is right up there, collegiate All-American wrestling champion, 4-time Letterman winner.
Wow.
Dead serious. Like, he's up against serious competition too. I've known Hudson for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen him this hell-bent dedicated on something.
Right.
And that I'll be honest, that's scary.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I think had my attention, grabbed me, so to speak, from the show was the promo he cut, when he was announced as the newest member of the Chicago Connection. I hung out. He had me hanging on every word. And I remember like saying to myself, and I think I even said to Brad, who was sitting next to me, I said, I've got to get this guy on my show. And I reached out to him like a few days later, had him on, and absolute pleasure to talk to and to deal with, and you can definitely tell this is a man that's dedicated to his craft.
Absolutely, he is. That was when I was thinking of a person to sign on to Chicagoland without making it a big announcement, but making his announcement on the show be the big deal.
Right.
He was the guy I looked at.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, there's a lot of guys here, but here's this guy who looks like an action figure. Comes from Hollywood royalty. Doesn't use a Hollywood royalty to get over, but he comes from Hollywood royalty. And yet he looks like the classic throwback 1980s wrestler when guys were bigger than life on television. Mm-hmm. He looks like, the guy who should be main inventing a 30,000 seat arena, and
right.
To have him be part of Chicagoland, to me, that's a big deal.
Right. And he's also very, and one of the things that I really like about him is he's this, look, he looks like he's chiseled out of stone. He's intense. He's dedicated, but he's also very well spoken as well. And I think that's a great, he's what I would like to think of, to quote, to coin, from one of my favorite wrestlers, Lex Luger. He is the total package.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's a very intelligent man.
Yes. Very. So, so let's get right into it. Your next show coming up is April 17th, 2021. At the American Legion in Michigan City, Indiana. So yeah, let's just spend some time talking about it. So what do we got? What do you have in store for the fans?
Or you want me to go down the match list of what we all have going on?
Yeah, and we'll kind of talk a little bit, maybe some history, some of the matches, like backstories thing, and just maybe
absolutely.
Yeah, just talk about the card first.
Since we just talked about the devil himself, Jonathan Hudson makes his debut in Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, his in-ring debut. And the man that he's wrestling against is the suplex scientist, Chip Walker. Now, Chip is one of the green guys coming into the wrestling business, but we scouted him when he was wrestling in college. And before, like I said, he was a 4-time Letterman winner. He was an NCAA All-American wrestler. Wow. Legitimate. His wrestling ability reminds me of Gary Albright.
Okay.
So if you like someone just dropping guys like potatoes and suplexing people out of their boots, Chip is a suplex machine. He's just one of those guys that you could beat on him all day and he will wait his time for you to make the wrong move and just end it. So when I was thinking of a perfect wrestler to give the challenge to Jonathan Hudson, to see if John Hudson really is the real deal, I looked at Chip as, okay, here's a guy as tough as nails. You can look back in the history of wrestling, the toughest wrestlers were amateur collegiate wrestlers. The Briscoes, the Funks. You can go through Kurt Angle, prime example.
Yep.
They will put a sandwich on your back and starve you. And that's just how good collegiate wrestlers are. If you notice something about Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, if you look at our roster's backstories, a lot of them are amateur wrestlers.
Okay.
And a lot of them has martial arts backgrounds. Like the Gotch brothers, legit, collegiate All-Americans. You have guys like Chip Walker. You have Emin Ewok has amateur wrestling background. You look at Braven Fett, Muay Thai fighting. Chris Logan, martial arts. Chris Logan's brother, who will be coming soon to Chicagoland, is a Muay Thai fighter. And that's just Yo-Yo martial arts and amateur wrestling. So I'm a huge proponent and believer in tough guys being on my roster. Evan Paragon has MMA background. As flashy and flamboyant as he is, he knows how to manipulate joints. So my opinion was Chip will make his debut right along with John Hudson. You have a suplex machine versus a man made of iron. Couldn't ask for a better fight.
Man, if I wasn't already hyped up for this show, I'm even that much more hyped up now. And that's just the first match we talked about right now. So,
yeah. So let's take a look at some other matches we have, shall we?
Absolutely.
So we have a 6-person tag match We have the shooterweight, Yo-Yo, who I felt like in that debut match versus Miles Mercer, those two really stole the show.
Oh, yeah, that was a great way to open that show.
I mean, you couldn't ask for two of the future wrestlers of our company to do what they did. And you take those two, then you take Jackson P. Larkin, who was impressive.
Very.
And then you put Braven Fett in the ring, and then you take the over-the-top managerial skills, but also a legit wrestler in himself, and C-Red.
Absolutely.
And you put him up in the ring against the baddest black belt around, Janaya Kai. It's Kung Fu fighting. You couldn't ask for the best. I mean, you got Miles Mercer, who can brawl with the best of them. He can mat wrestle. He could high fly. Jackson P. Larkin can drop people with one hand, one punch. And C-Red has so many tricks in his bag. You think you're messing with Lucky Charms. You know, he's got a bag full of gold, and you don't know what he's going to pull out of it. Then you got Yo-Yo, who's a martial artist, but he's an escape artist. Mm-hmm. If you notice, every time Miles thought he had Yo-Yo, Yo-Yo found a way out of it.
Yeah. Yep.
He's so crafty at what he does. You got the deadly the 8 limb strikes of Braven Fett being a Muay Thai fighter. You know, his knees, his feet, his elbows, his fist, and that headbutt sometimes he throws too. You know, he's got ways of just being devastating. And then Janaya Kai is like a martial arts movie come to life in the ring and wrestling with the ability that she has. And that's a 6-person tag match, because I'm a big believer in tag team wrestling and also 6-man and 6-person tags. I know a lot of people may not like intergender wrestling, but I'm telling you this match has potential to be a show stealer with everyone involved. When I signed that match, I looked back and I said to myself, I hope that crowd's ready, because with everybody involved in this, it's going to be really good.
Well, one of the things, just real quick, if I can interject here, you talk about intergender wrestling. My stance is on intergender wrestling is, if done properly, it absolutely. I mean, if it's the right two people, yes. It's telling the right story. If it's not being done just for the sake of doing it, I was a huge fan of, and I don't know how familiar you are with the storyline that Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan had in Impact Wrestling when Tessa won the Impact Championship. I was a huge fan of that storyline, because I thought it was very well done. You know, I know Tessa Blanchard's done some stuff with Brian Cage and then I've seen some other stuff, you know, like Lucha Underground stuff, and absolutely, if done right, intergender wrestling can be amazing. And I was, again, like I said about the last matches, if I wasn't already I'm already more excited now about this match, just based on everything you're telling me about it, than I was before we started this interview. And I'm sure I'm going to be saying that about every match that we talk about here. So
let's talk about this other match coming up. We have the UHC title match. You just had him on your show, Jay Cross, the Brawler.
Last week.
And he's going to be managed by the man known as Damian Tyler, who is a Chicago veteran in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Now, Damian is not the biggest guy in the room, but don't let his size fool you. He punches like a super heavyweight. Now, a lot of people are already saying, you know, they feel bad for Ewok. But my thing is this. When I was putting this match together, I wanted to see 2 mirror images against each other. The way that Jay Cross wrestles is very similar to how Ewok does too. Mm-hmm. They won't back down. They'll fight you with every tooth and nail they have. They will come at you with steel chairs. They'll come at you with everything, anything that's not bolted down, they'll hit you with it. And you have a big beer drinking brawler versus a guy from the city of Chicago, from the South Side, who's a street fighter. And you're going to put them in a ring with no rules, relaxed rules. The only thing there is a 20 count. They can win this match by pinfall, submission, or knockout. That's a bar brawl.
Oh man! And where would there be any more appropriate place to have a bar brawl than in a VFW?
With a bar.
Right, exactly. You see where I was going with that. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's why I told both of those guys, it's like, I asked Jay Cross, I was like, are you familiar with Ewok? And he's like, I heard of him. And I was like, well, you'll be wrestling him. I think you need to watch him. I told the same thing to Ewok. I was like, you need to watch Jay Cross. Both of them came back to me. Man, we're just going to beat the hell out of each other. And I'm like, yeah. And the fans are going to eat it up and they're going to love it. This is two hosses that are not going to back down and it's going to just beat the hell out of each other. And the biggest winner of that match is going to be the fans.
Mm-hmm.
For the fans who don't want to see the fancy wrestling stuff, they just want to see someone get punched in the face. That's the match for you. That is the match. If you want to see an ugly fight, that's going to be the ugly fight of the night. And that's probably one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I know. After talking with Jay last week, I was really looking forward to this. And I mean, I was like, this ought to be, quite interesting when the match got announced. But yeah, just, I can't wait. I love a good old fashioned fight, with my mixed in with my, pro wrestling.
Another match that's coming up is the rematch between Tribunal and No Coast. And talking to Joe Blues and Brian Kraser, they told me when they first were going to wrestle Tribunal, they believe they kind of I think they made a mistake of taking them too lightly. Mm-hmm. And after that match, as he was there, you watched it, Brian had his nose broken. Joe Blues got smashed in the face with a cane. It got ugly. Paragon and Jay Storm was not playing around with those two guys. And it was No Coast to actually ask for the rematch because they feel like they have a point to prove. And now they got that fire lit under them and they're motivated to show Paragon, what, we're not great value brand Walmart wrestling. We're Chicago brand wrestling. And I think if you take those two kids now, they're highly motivated for this. And then you have across the ring someone who's a joint manipulator in Jace Thorne who will pick opponent apart. And then you have the guy with the golden tongue, the gift for gab, all the drip and everything going along with it. Mm-hmm. Paragon. That's going to be a great tag team match.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it was, I remember talking to you before the show that I was like, kind of already becoming a fan of No Coast because I really like the videos that they were doing, especially the Wayne's World parody one. Cause I love Wayne's World. And but yeah, I really liked, I really like what they bring to the ring. And I was really impressed also with the Tribunal, and I look forward to this rematch. I think it's going to be, it has all the potential in the world to be even that much better than their first match.
And I think so too. Speaking of Tribunal, we'll see the debut of Chris Moore of the Tribunal against Marche Rocket.
Okay.
And if you have not seen Chris Moore,
I have not.
Owe yourself a favor and YouTube him. You take a man that's the size of a refrigerator. Mm-hmm. That's how broad he is. He is a massive, powerful guy, but he has the agility of a cruiserweight. And seeing a guy with that size and strength against another man who is known for his size and strength and ability with moving around with cruiserweight agility and Marche Rocket. That's another match. I kind of repeat this maybe, but this is the way I feel about this.
Absolutely.
Every match on this card could be match of the night.
That's when you have a stacked card, though. I mean, you look at some of these shows, shows that like, WWE, AEW, all the major promotions put on, and you can say, maybe you got a couple matches out of all of this whole card that, could be match of the night. But I mean, then you've got a good show when you can objectively look at every single match in that card and say to yourself, this has potential to be match of the night. So.
And that's how I see it too. When I book stuff, I'm like, man, that's really good. Oh man, that's really good too. And you want to see things that even as a promoter, you would be excited to see. If you're excited to see it, you can definitely know the fans are more than likely going to be excited to see it too.
100% agree.
another match that's been almost nearly 2 years in the making. We're finally going to see it happen. Hopefully, COVID don't screw this up. We have Youth Gone Wild on one side of the ring and Joey and Jacob, the Gotch brothers, on the other side.
Yeah.
And I know you've been following this too.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer let's make a little passive joke about so-and-so over here on Facebook or whatever.
It's gotten personal.
It's to the point both of them wanted to just go punch the other right in the mouth. Mm. It's the point that we have to literally give one tag team a locker room and the other tag team a locker room, because we put them in the same locker room together, they'll end up fighting. We have to separate them until they get to the ring, because it's just, I can't hire that much security to break that up. There's no way. Those two, they want to hit each other and beat each other up so bad. Almost every day I get a message from Tom, Matt, Joey, and Jacob. I'll hear it on both sides. Are you really sure you want this match? Are you really sure you want to book us? Because I might gouge out the other guy's eye. Or I might go smash his head into a wall and knock him out because he runs his big mouth. It's no longer a wrestling match. It's two guys that are just fed up and pissed off at each other that wants to fight. And I've told this to Tom and Matt both. I was like, you guys are double tough. You guys have been, veterans in this wrestling business for a long time. You took on some of the best of the best. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the Gotch brothers might be new to the business. But the thing is, though, you took two collegiate wrestlers. One was a U.S. Marine who served on the Marine National Wrestling Team. Think about how tough that has to be.
You get in the Marines alone.
Joey Gotch was so good, the Marine Corps put him on their national wrestling team.
Wow.
Out of all those recruits in the Marines. And he was good enough to represent their legacy in the military to wrestle other teams. And I told him, I was like, you guys got to understand that you're literally pissing off a bloodborne generation wrestlers that has this legacy in their blood. They've been wrestling since they're 5 years old. And you're mocking them. You're mocking their great-great-grandfather. You're mocking their family. You're mocking where they're from. It's kind of like walking up to a giant bull in the field and smacking it, and hopefully it doesn't gore you. and when I told both of them on both sides, you're playing with fire, guys, and you know what? I'll give you the match to wrestle, and if it ends up into a fight that goes into the city, into the streets, I'll guess I'll take responsibility on the insurance damage that they'll probably end up doing. But man, I've talked to multiple people about hiring extra security just for that match alone, because I have a feeling this might end up going into the crowd. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah, well, I've offered up, and hey, you ever need me for anything, let me know. But that's one thing I think, if you ask me, if hey, do you want to be security for that match, I might have to turn you down on that. So
I don't blame you. I'm a former wrestler, and I don't want to get involved in it. I don't want to be the one losing an eye.
Yeah, but you know what? Me being the fan I am and stuff, I'd probably kind of be a little starstruck. Be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then I'll probably regret it the next day. We'll see.
Right. Another match we got coming up. We talk about a real Haas fight. You have Zeke Kickham, the Amish powerhouse, versus Garrison Creed, the mercenary.
Oh, I can't wait for that one. That's one of the ones I'm really excited for.
Two big guys that don't back down.
Nope.
And I think when the fans saw Zeke for the first time, I think some people thought like, oh, this is going to be one of those comical Amish gimmicks. And then they saw what him and Ewok was doing, and they were like, wow, okay, this guy really impressed a lot of people. He was one of those guys that are UK reviewers, Johners and John Scott, when they did our Power 4 TV review. They mentioned that match. They're like, Ewok reminded them of Jonathan Gresham.
Yeah.
But they were also talking about Zeke, and were like, but man, he was impressive because he was hitting one big power move after power move, and that clothesline that he had, Ewok with the turn him inside out was like, oh my God. And then Garrison, you talk about a guy that's a hybrid athlete. He can mat wrestle, he can strike, he can high fly, and you put him in that frame that he has and the power that he has in powerlifting. It's scary to think what that man has potential to do, right along with his combat experience.
Absolutely.
That match I'm looking forward to. Another match, we have the Sin City Playboys, led by Johnny Nye with Bo Anderson in their corner with Solomon Stone and Tully Bertarelli, taking on Gunnar Brave, the debuting Conan Lycan, which I'll show you some Conan Lycan stuff. I think you're going to be really impressed with him.
Oh, I look forward to it.
6'2", 250 pounds. He could do a 450 splash.
Oh,
He's take Roman Reigns and add about a Jaguar agility to him. That is what Conan Lycan reminds me of.
Wow.
And then you have the Never Say Die babyface of Jared Kripke, who is a talented wrestler himself here in the state of Indiana, making his debut along with Gunnar's good friend Conan Lycan. And here we have the battle of the future taking on the stars of the present right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen Johnny Nye's latest promo, did you not?
I did, and I loved it.
He went into Gunnar's house when Gunnar wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Talk about an invasion of a man's privacy if you think about this.
Yeah, you really can't get any more invasive than going into somebody else's home when they're not there.
Johnny called me the night that he did this. I'm sending to you. And I'm thinking, okay, whatever. It's probably you talking about how great you are. He's like, oh no, I think you're going to be kind of, jaw to the floor. Okay, heard this before. Sure enough, I get the video the next day. And I get a call from Gunnar Brave. And Gunnar is going off. He's like, can you believe I was away from my house? He shows up, knocks on the door, talks to my mother, who was staying at his house because it was during the Christmas holidays.
Mm-hmm.
He tells his mother that he is his best friend. She invites him in. He goes about doing his business. She even bakes cookies for this guy.
Oh, man.
Eats the cookies, drinks his milk, eats his food, has a good laugh behind this woman's back. Then proceeds to go down the stairs, set up his camera, and let Gunnar know, hey, by the way, Gunnar, I'm sitting here at your house. Your room's right over here, right across from this staircase. How does it feel to know that I'm in your house and you're not here, but your mom is? I mean, how would you feel if someone did that? I mean, that's such an invasion of privacy, but man, it's such a smack in the face to your family.
Yeah, I'd be livid, and I'd be ready to tear somebody's head off if they did that, pulled that on me.
And you have that brewing already,
mm-hmm.
with Gunnar looking across the ring at Johnny, wanting to get his hands on Johnny. And then you got Tully, who's the strong man of the group,
mm-hmm.
of the Playboys. And then across the ring is looking at him as Conan Lycan, who's a beast of his own rights. You have Solomon Stone with his ability and what he does best, and his money on top of that. And then you have the never say die attitude of Jared Kripke looking at him. And then you got the main benefactor. Yeah, Bo Anderson, who's always got a trick up his sleeve, who's always got a plan
mm-hmm.
when it comes to whatever battle he's in, courtroom, contracts, whatever. He knows what he's doing. And on top of that, Bo can actually wrestle too. He's one of those guys, don't let him fool you. He's also pretty dangerous himself. You got that as a trios match. And the thing is,
mm-hmm.
we're not even done yet.
Wait, there's more?
There's more.
All right, let's keep going, man. I'm loving it.
Outside of all these great grudge matches, feuds, we have first-time debuts. We have a 6-person tag match. Also at this show, we're going to have a contract signing, and I can't say the talent yet.
Okay.
But it'd be 2 men debuting at Chicagoland Championship Wrestling who will be wrestling each other that we're going to have a contract signing of. And it's been one of the matches that everyone in the Midwest has wanted to book. And yet we have, as Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, will be the first company to debut that match. And it's two of the best prospects and two men that have made a name for themselves, have won championships all across the Midwest, that will finally be facing down for the first time against each other.
So they're going to have the contract signing and the match at the show?
Contract signings at our April show, but the match will be coming up on our August event.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think when the fans see who comes out, I think they're going to lose their mind when they see it. I'm excited for it.
I'm just as excited as well. I'm just like, I'm wishing there was a way that tomorrow could be April 17th.
We also have our main event. We have for the Chicagoland Heavyweight Championship, we have the Shogun versus former TNA star D-Ray 3000, the Frogun. Mm-hmm. So you have the Frogun versus the Shogun.
Oh, that's top billing right there, just on that alone. Frogun versus Shogun.
Two kung fu masters going at it, and who's the baddest man in all of the Midwest? Who's the baddest man in all of Chicagoland? Detroit versus Chicago. And that match is something that people have been trying to build forever. We'll have that at our show. And our partners at Lucha Libre Boom and Guerreros Azteca Wrestling is working with me right now to bring in one of Mexico's greatest wrestlers to debut at our event. So we will see authentic Mexican style Lucha Libre.
I love me some authentic Mexican style Lucha Libre.
So this is probably one of the most stacked shows in the Midwest, but my God, as a promoter and businessman, I'm excited to present this event to all of you. But most importantly, as a person who still loves the wrestling business as a fan, take away the years of being a wrestler, a manager, promoter, booker, production guy, throw that all aside, just being a fan. I'm excited to watch this show that we're producing. Because I know that if the October show got fans really excited, I feel like this huge April event is just going to just have people on the edge of their seat. And, I'm so looking forward to that rowdy crowd.
Oh, man, that was so cool to be part of that crowd in October.
One of the loudest crowds I've ever been a part of. Just walking through that crowd. I was on my cell phone trying to make a call, and I couldn't hear myself even talk of how loud that crowd was. And that's a good sign. That's a good thing. When you can't hear yourself talking at a wrestling event, you're at a good wrestling event.
Oh, absolutely.
When people are that rowdy and having a good time, So, yeah, I mean, Dennis, what a card we have. And what a card, man. And then on top of it, we have you, the great Brad Marcus, and I think his name is Hooven?
Jovan,
yes. I always apologize for messing his name. But we have you three awesome guys there that are going to be doing a pre-show.
Yeah. We would definitely love to do that.
So we have that going on. We're also working with the head of Mas Lucha, television company from Mexico. We're working on having him come up, and he's going to be doing live interviews in Spanish for the Mexican television viewers.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Too. So, yeah, it's going to be a Worlds Collide type of show. It's going to be all the good stuff that makes wrestling awesome with awesome people involved, just having a good night. And I'm excited for this probably more than anything else. I really am. I'm ready for 2021 to be a great year for wrestling, but you know what? I think this is going to be one of the shows that help kick that off.
I just agree. And like I said, I talked to you before we recorded, just our conversations throughout and stuff. And it's so awesome. Like it's so nice to have something to look forward to, because we really, as a society, have not had that luxury in almost a year now, since this whole COVID thing became a big issue, so having something like this just kind of just makes me that much even more, just like looking forward to it. And I'm not just saying it because, like again, I've mentioned many times before to you and some of the people I've had on the show and stuff that this is actually that show is the night before my birthday. So I'm looking forward to being at, celebrating my birthday with some, really good friends and some great wrestling and stuff, but just for the people to have something like this to look forward to, it's just, again, when there really hasn't been much for the world to look forward to in this last year or so, it's really great to, have something like this. And it kind of gives me, and everybody else, something to, say, hey, we have something to look forward. We have something to help keep us going, in these tough times and stuff like that. And so kind of want to segue into a little bit of something that's not wrestling related. And I want to talk about, we've all talked about how we've had, we're all on this journey, with COVID and everything, and it's kind of changed the way we've done things. And, a lot of people say, oh, it's been nothing but bad this last year, but there's also been a lot of good things that have happened, since COVID started. I started my 2 podcasts. I've gotten to meet you. I've gotten to know some of your talent. I've gotten to go to the show and stuff. But one of the things, and this is something you and I have really started to bond over these last few weeks and stuff, is personal journeys that we're both going on. A lot of you who follow me, know me and, follow me on Facebook and seen my journey. And I've took it upon myself to, go on a diet back in the middle of September. And we're in, middle of January, we're coming up on 4 months. And, I can proudly say I've lost over 60 pounds, and just being able to I'm proud of that. And it's so nice that, I've had people message me, my friends text me, message me on Facebook as, dude, you've inspired me. And I know you yourself, and I kind of want you to, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about, your own personal journey here, just because, you telling me what you've done is really it really validates what I'm doing, because I'm doing this for myself, but just knowing what I'm doing for myself is inspiring others to do the same. It's like, it's so amazing. It's humbling. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like for you to share your story as well too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course, with COVID-19, kind of causing a lot of folks to go through depression, causing gyms to close down, personal places. I mean, a lot of people would always like to mock someone about going to the gym, like, oh, what, you can't work out at home. I've always been a home workout guy, so I can't, make excuses for myself. But for a lot of people who were, that gym gives people motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You go there and you see other people working out, you get motivated to work out too. And for people to lose that, a lot of folks gained weight. A lot of folks went through depression.
Yeah.
And, I went through it myself. 2020, a little personal insight about my battle with the year. Started out, COVID-19 started taking away some friends of mine personally that I worked with. I lost 3 good coworkers to COVID. Then my best friend, Chris, that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
He lost his battle to stage 4 cancer. And then my job where I worked at got liquidated because of COVID-19. So I lost my job with employment because of it. So, and that's all before the month of June. So it was just like, bam, 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 almost like, oh my God, can 2020 just give me a break? I mean, come on, man. I've talked about depression before, and the battles that we all have with it. And there's some people that are more open with their battle with depression than others. And myself, I'm a suicide survivor, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I'm alive. I'm glad that I failed. And I did have a little bit of depression, not bad like I had in years past, but it was one like, okay, I've lost all this. I know I need to get back up. I need to better myself. And the problem was I went from being slender, and I probably put on about 40, 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it at the show. I felt it definitely when I saw the video back. I'm like, oh God, I really let myself go. You don't really notice that in the mirror a lot. You're like, mirror just puts on weight. Right. Then you actually see yourself and you're like, oh my God, like I really let myself go. Come on, man. Yours better than this, and when I met you finally in person and seeing your statuses on Facebook, like, hey guys, I lost 5 pounds. And I'm like, awesome, man. Keep that up. while myself is eating ice cream and letting myself get in this thought in my head, oh no, you're just a hoss, you're fine. Like, yeah, no, my knees are starting to hurt a lot now. My ankles are too. I need to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
But meeting you in person, hearing your struggles that you went through, your battles with your depression that you've had to overcome, and your motivation to be a better you inspired the hell out of me that night. That when I went home, I told my wife, I was like, I finally met, DDJ. And not only is he an awesome person, but every day, you see him putting in the work. Every day you see him trying to help out other people. And then most importantly, we see that you lost 60 pounds. Holy crap. That's like, a small child, if you really think about that.
It's roughly the equivalent of my son, a little bit more than what my son weighs. Like my son's, I think, in the mid 40s, what he weighs. He's 5 and stuff. So I just think that's kind of when I hit that marker. And I realized, and I think I even thought about this when I realized this, I said something to my wife and then my mom, and it was just like, wow, that really put things into perspective. It's like basically lost, the equivalent of what my son weighs. Like I lost the equivalent of, a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah. And that's thinking about all the pressure on your body carrying that weight.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it myself now, getting back into working out. I'm doing a lot of my old wrestler workouts, my Indian clubs, my mesas.
Yep.
I do 100 Hindu push-ups, 100 squats every day. Continuously work on eating proper food, cutting out the sweets, cutting out the soda, which the soda has been like the biggest pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. It's like, because I used to be like, oh man, Coca-Cola, and you crack the can open, you just have a good, and now it's like, I'm thinking to myself now, like, okay, how many days can I get away from not drinking a soda? And now I'm making a game out of it. Yeah. Because, when you make a game out of something, you have fun with it.
Yep.
So drinking water, yep. And my goal is by June to at least lose 40 pounds. That is my goal. Oh, and then after I get to that 40-pound mark, I want to try to lose another 40 pounds.
Yep. That's kind of the same attitude I've had. Like I said, I have a set place in mind of where I want to be. I'm almost there. But when I get there, I'm not going to stop. I want to keep going because I want to see how far I can take this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the best mentality to have. Okay, now I lost this weight. Now what do I do? Okay, I go to the gym and I work out and sculpt my body. I make my body look healthier. I have strength, and I can carry on because my motivation, I think, is the same as yours. We both are family men.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to live a decent enough long life to see our family grow and move on and be happy people in their adulthood and their life. And of course we have, our wives, we want to live a long life to be with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, who the hell wants to be buried in a casket at 40 years old? I don't. That's my biggest fear. I don't want to die young. I want to be an old man that just enjoyed living a very unique life and get to tell the grandkids stories. That's my philosophy I want to do in life. Live long enough to enjoy every moment, everything that comes with it, good, bad, or the ugly, and be inspired to live life.
And it's just like I think about, mentioning about, living long enough to enjoy, like telling stories to my grandkids and stuff. It's just, I watched how my dad would interact with my son, and and I always think about this little video that I've saved on my phone. My son was he wasn't even 3 months old, and we were at a birthday party for like my cousin's kid, and I have this video of my dad just sitting there holding my son, and there my son's 3 months old, and all he can do is my dad's doing it. It's like they're having their own little conversation and stuff, and it's just I look at that and I think about that, and I want, someday I hope to be able to do that, with my grandson or my granddaughter, when my son, if my son has kids after he graduates high school and then, has a decent, and stuff. I'm talking at least 18 and stuff, but I want that, and it's just, I want to be able to see, my grand, if I have a grandchild, I want to see him grow up. One of the biggest tragedies and one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with, you know, my dad being gone is, you know, he's, you know, he'll never get to see never get to see my son be in kindergarten. He'll never get to see him, go to junior high and stuff like that. You know, there's so much that like he won't be there for physically. Now I know he's there spiritually and he's there in spirit and stuff, but it's just, I think about that. And, and that was kind of one of the things as well too, is I want to be around. So like, I can see, my son get married, start his own family. I want to see, have him, him have a little, have some kids, and be a grandparent and stuff like that, and be able to do all those things with my grandchild that my dad did with my son, and it's just that's another thing that's really kind of like when I realized I needed to do something, that was kind of one of the things I took into consideration.
Yeah. And I can relate to that, man, losing both my parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's hard when you kind of think back into like, okay, they're not here to see this.
Right.
But we can change that for ourselves,
mm-hmm.
At least with our physical health, to be there for our families.
Right.
And that's me is the greatest motivation I have right now is I want to live life.
Mm-hmm.
And for order for me to live life, I have to make my changes to live healthy.
Yep.
I mean, I quit all my bad habits over the years. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. My greatest drug is, finding happiness, finding the joys and the hobbies and things that I do. That's my high, going, talking to people, inspiring people as much as I can,
mm-hmm.
finding people who've always heard the word no or cannot, and tell them you can, but it's up to you to believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
Because I also was once in that boat. I had people, my 10th grade teacher told me once, she said, I hope you're ready with a shovel in hand, because all you're going to be in your life is someone who digs a ditch.
Wow.
And yeah. But I didn't let that anger me. It hurt. I ain't gonna lie. It hurt me bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those things that also taught me, okay, my goal now is to prove this teacher wrong. And graduation senior year, proved her wrong on that. Because I was considered a potential high school dropout. So, but hey, graduated 3.5 average, not bad.
Yeah.
Turned it around, but took some time, but did it. But it's one of those things that for guys like me, you, and people who've been through the grind of having people tell us good luck or that's a nice goal, but good luck on having that. Guys like us, we didn't listen to it. We went out and we grabbed it. We kept on running with it until we got it. And that to me is an example of the difference between winners. And I hate to call anybody a loser, because I don't believe, I hate that word. But the difference between the cans and can-nots. The can-nots will be told you can't do something, and they believe in themselves they can't. So they sit there and they don't do nothing. The cans are people who have been told they cannot do something, and they refuse to listen to those words.
Mm-hmm.
And they made believers out of everyone around them because they believe in themselves. That to me is the difference between winners and losers more than anything else. Is that people who accept defeat, they're never going to achieve anything. We're all going to lose. Sooner or later, we're all going to fall down. We're all going to be knocked down. As is how life is. But it's the importance of getting back up, dusting ourselves off, and chasing after our dreams and our goals and achievements, and then helping inspire others behind us to do the same thing, is how people become winners.
Man, that's some really good stuff, and just pretty much anybody out there listens to this, they already know me, and I'm sure you would echo the same sentiments for those of your friends and family, and that are gonna listen to this and stuff. Anytime, I've always prided myself on being someone people can go to, much like yourself. And anytime, anybody, it's always nice to have someone to help you along the way. And, it's always nice to have that tag team partner, that support system and stuff, because it makes things so much easier. And just anybody out there, You know, don't ever, you're never alone in this world. You know, if you ever need anything, reach out. You know, there will always someone that'll be out there willing to lend a hand. And I know, John, you would probably echo those same words.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, Dennis.
So, well, all right. Well, I think that's about all I got for today. John, I want to take a moment to thank you again for coming on and not only talking about, you know, the show and stuff, but just talking about life and inspiration and stuff. You know, it was really something that I hope, if it helps at least one person who listens to this show, then it was worth it.
Absolutely. And, you know, always honored to be on the show with you, but most of all, I'm honored to have you as a friend. So
I feel the same way.
Thank you for being the coolest person around, man. Honestly, I couldn't thank you enough.
Oh, I feel the same way. I mean, you basically, you know, I've said this to you. I've said this to a lot of people, you know, you treated me like, you know, I was part of the team, you know, at the show. And I really look forward to, you know, seeing everybody there on the 17th. You know, we're going to have some fun and, you know, get some, you know, you know, have some fun, drink some beers or whatever, you know, and watch some wrestling.
Hey, man, that's the best way to go at it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then just real quick before I call it a wrap here, once again, John, if you wouldn't mind telling my audience here how they can, you know, if how to get tickets for the show.
Yeah. Go to ChicagolandChampionshipWrestling.com. That's all one word. If you go to our event section on our page, if you scroll down, you will see our tickets. It is via PayPal. And once you buy your tickets, I will be glad to not only write out a letter of thank you for each and every one of the fans for doing that, but also send in some cool stuff along the way too. So we're always about being fan friendly the most, and then providing a great wrestling experience a second. Because you know what, if you're not friendly with your fans, who's going to be there to watch you? So, exactly. You know, it's all about having a good time and building a family together. And all of our fans that are listening, from the bottom of my heart, from all the guys and girls that works with us, thank you.
That's all right. Well, John, thanks once again, and have a great rest of the day. And obviously, I know I'll be talking to you throughout these next few months leading up to the show, but I look forward to seeing you in person here in about 3 months.
Absolutely. Same to you, my friend. You have yourself a wonderful evening.
I plan on it.
This is Steve Michaels, the master of the Chicago Bear Hug, and you are listening to Whaddya Say with DDJ. And if you don't listen, I swear I will send the rest of the legacy of brutality after you. And you don't want that.
Wow, John, thank you so much for coming back and sharing your inspirational story. I'm so touched and honored that I can be considered your hero and inspiration for you doing the things that you're doing. I will fully support you every step of the way. And yeah, the big announcement, in case you guys just need a refresher, yours truly, along with my fellow partner in crime of the Junkyard, Giovanni Tuhati, and Toilet Side Wrestling Talks, Brad Marcus. We three will be the host of the Chicagoland Championship Wrestling Saturday Night Grapple Masters pre-show coming up on April 17th. Details on how you can watch will be forthcoming in a subsequent episode. And also be sure to check the Pro Wrestling Junkies Facebook page along with our own personal Facebook pages for details on how you can watch. There are tickets still available for the April 17th, 2021 show in Michigan City, Indiana, and you can get them at ChicagolandChampionshipWrestling.com. Information's coming across the screen right now, and you can also check the episode description wherever you get your podcast. Well, that's all the time I have this week. Tune in next week for the 25th episode of Whaddya Say with DDJ. As always, thanks so much for listening, and have a great night, everybody.